the outside world rejects you.
My calculations are correct. You're gonna see some serious shit.
Shall we play game?
And I'm a nerd. Pretty proud of it.
Learn it, know it, live it.
Awkward. My camera not working now? There we go. How you doing, boys and girls? It is your host with the nose. The most. Your host, the D. This is a podcast of Pain, episode 39. This music is just too goddamn loud, man. It's fucked up. The way this works, because I know on your guys' end, it's probably not loud enough. So bear with me. Welcome to the podcast of Pain, the podcast where we discuss any and everything nerd, movies, video games, Google Pops, and today, one of those coming-of-age movies that all of us in the 80s grew up with, before there was American Pie, before there was Superbad, there was Porky's. Porky's came out in the 80s, 1981, I believe, and it spanned 3 sequels. Porky's 2 the next day, Porky's 3, Porky's Revenge, and Porky's. And in a moment, the music will die down. So, what we're going to do today is I'm going to take a different stab, a different direction at this note-taking movie review type of thing. I wasn't really satisfied with The Sandlot. I wasn't really satisfied with Big Lebowski. I blame myself. You know, it's hard when I want to try and explain it to people that have never seen it before, rather than just go over our favorite parts and our favorite lines and our favorite characters and such like that. And I think we lacked those episodes. So I decided to do a lot of notes, and I was talking to Don Wandela-Nuge, what up, Escape Pod? And he agrees, man. It's a tedious situation when you do this. Any way you do it, it's going to be a little tedious. Let me find my notes. Here we go. So basically what I did is I watched the entire movie, beginning to end, and I made notes. I basically wrote in all the plot, characters, happenings, what have you. And now I'm going to go ahead and read it, and I'm going to pause when need be. Stick with me, guys. It's going to be a long as I anticipate, but you never know. Let me see if I can get this goddamn I can't either. Is this going to be able to view the whole goddamn thing? Can I get this to zoom fit? Maybe that'll work. That won't work quite as well as I anticipated. Let's see. I'm trying not to get this I'm trying to get the video screen as well as this. There we go. That'll work. I'll make do. All right, so Porky's came out in 1981, written, directed, all that shit by Bob Camp. If you guys don't know who, no. Not Bob Camp. It's Bob. Un momento. I didn't take really hardcore. Bob Clark. Bob Camp is the guy that did Ren and Stimpy. Okay, so this stars the likings of Dan Monahan, Mark Harrier, Wyatt Knight, Roger Wilson, Cyril O'Reilly, Tony Ganios, Khaki Hunter, Kim Cattrall. You might only know 1 or 2 of them. They haven't really been around. I can't tell you a whole lot that anybody else has been in. Holy shit. Oh, no way. Okay, I just had a mind fuck. Going through the cast, and I actually know one of the other castmates, but I didn't think about it until now, until I popped up. Thank you to IMDb. This was rated R. It's an hour and 34 minutes. It takes place in 1954. This is like the Florida area, like the Everglades and such. Okay, so bear with me. All these kids are basically this group of boys is trying to lose their virginity. That's the big thing. And again, like with American Pie, Superbad, that's what they were trying to do. It's a coming of age movie. Let's go ahead and just jump the fuck right into it. The podcast of Pain is sponsored by Chimera Illustration and Design, as well as Minard Vonna Toys and Collectibles. Kind of sort of sponsored by Tactical Trash Out. And as always, Kill 'em All Beard Oil. I don't have any of the stuff here. I heard that Marcus Harris, the proprietor of Kill 'em All Beard Oil, is sending me a brand new package very soon. I will debut that when I get it. I'll unbox it when I get it. It's going to be fucking awesome. I hope it smells as awesome as all the rest of the items. But make sure you guys go to killemallbeardoil.com. Use PainPod and the coupon code and get yourself 10% off. I know there's a beard lover or a beard enthusiast in your life that could use any number of their products. They got oil, butter, balms, brushes, t-shirts, shit, clippers, all kinds of stuff. So check them out. Make sure to use the PainPod coupon code and get yourself 10% off, whatever it is you guys order. Shipping's pretty decent. I think it's just one guy running the show, but they're all a lot of horror-based scents. I think they had 7, which I think is based off of. They have 7. They have a scent based off of brain fart. Candyman, Friday the 13th, Leatherface, Friday, Nightmare on Elm Street. I think they got a new one coming up. They have one for Beetlejuice. Just check them out. KillEmAllBeardOil.com. PainPod for the coupon code. Okay, so we start out. It's 1952. Well, like I said, 1954. I think I wrote 1952. This is the 50s, give or take a year or two. We start off with Pee Wee Morris. He's still in his slumber, waking up. The morning radio DJ's playing, wake up, get out of bed. Wake up, you sleepyhead. And the camera pans down. We get a nice shot of Pee Wee's erection, morning wood, raging boner out of his fucking his shorts. Moments later, Pee Wee's mom starts knocking on the door, telling him to get up. I think his real name is Morris. Everybody in this movie has some kind of a nickname, but she's banging on the door. You're going to be late for school. You got breakfast, After a little relenting, she eventually knocks. She eventually just goes inside. The alarm clock is buzzing. Pee Wee struggles to turn it off. Just as he tries to snooze a little bit longer, his mom bursts in the room. He's still sporting a Woody, so he freaks out and he flips over, total 180, right onto his schlong, man. And you can imagine the pain. Any dude can imagine the pain, right? I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but as he continues to groan from pain, his mother gives him a small list of to-dos for the day, and pick up your father's laundry. He needs you to drop him off at work because the car won't start. You got the trash, you got all this crap to do, on and on it goes. Once she leaves, Pee Wee, his pain subsides, and he reaches up underneath his, the bedside table. He reaches to the bedside table and he pulls out a ruler. I don't know any other guy that's done this. He's trying to measure himself, you know what I mean? And he's a little despondent with the result. So he goes to the chart that he has underneath his mattress, right? His growth chart, if you will. And he's like, what the fuck? It's getting shorter, So he gets pissed off, puts his utensils back, puts his fucking table back, or puts his chart back, and he gets up for the day. Okay. Next, we see a shot of Angel Beach High. I think that's the name of it takes place in Angel Beach. So I assume that the high school's name is Angel Beach High or something to that magnitude. We see a shot of the high school, and then we see a shot of Billy and Tommy, who are driving side by side. This is just as bad as texting and driving, discussing their upcoming project that they have. It involves I also want to preface this by saying, it takes place in the 50s. So imagine all the things that were acceptable or semi-acceptable back in the 50s. Could this movie be made nowadays? Probably not. Probably not to this degree. But just stick with me here. Billy asked, okay, these are very, very common names, so I get them confused. So bear with me. Billy and Tommy are arriving via car side by side, discussing an upcoming project involving a colored guy and a woman of some sort. They start walking to towards the school, and a pickup truck roars by. Their friend Mickey jumps out of the car and asks him, "Hey, y'all got the yet? Come on, redneck, you mean the colored guy?" And the group further trades insults back and forth eventually before getting back to discussing the upcoming project. It's the 50s, man. Times were different. Some people were more accepting of the changing ways that were coming up. Some were not. It was a different state. I think what did Jarvis say? Like Michigan and Indiana, where y'all can kiss ass with all the blacks you want, but this is Dixie, baby, where we do things right. I'm gonna say a lot of the fucking a lot of the the quotes and shit from this movie. I've watched it many times. Let's see here. So they get back to, after trading insults with each other, they get back to eventually discussing the upcoming project that they are involved in. I also want to preface by saying this movie is full of subplots. So just when I thought I knew the general idea, I knew this happened, I knew B happened, I knew C happened. But like in between all that, there's 0.5, 0.75, so on and so forth. It's wild. We are now meeting Wendy Williams. She yells for Tommy as the group approaches closer. She says, "Did you get it?" Tommy says, "Yeah." Fucking gearheads. Jesus Christ. I guess that speaks highly for my microphone if I can pick it up from way the fuck outside. Anyway, Wendy yells for Tommy as the group approaches closer. "Did you get it?" Tommy replies, "I found a place that's got one. I'll pick it up tomorrow." Wendy says, "Don't let me down. I'm going to get that little creep." And as she walks away, the other guys ask, "Who's Wendy going to get?" Tommy says, "Pee-wee." "Well, what happened? Did you hear about the other night?" "How do you not hear about the other night? You didn't hear about the other night?" "Well, what happened the other night?" Okay, so this group of guys has to get their friend Pee-wee laid, right? So they try and hook him up with Wendy. Wendy's got this longevity. She's got this history of supposedly being like the town doorknob or the town bicycle. Everybody gets a turn kind of thing. So we'll hook Pee-wee up. All he's got to do is get off. No biggie. So they hook him up with Wendy. They go out on a date. I guess at some point during the date, they start making out. Wendy takes it a step further in the date, gets hot and heavy. Turns out that Pee-wee is already wearing a rubber or a condom or a prophylactic, if you will. So she got pretty pissed off that he was that eager in their date. She wants to get him back. That comes up later. Next, we see a girl, Mindy, a freshman student, walking up to Anthony Tuparello. And she asks Anthony, "Hey, why do they call you Meat?" All the friends around Meat are giggling and laughing. And she says, "Wendy Williams over there said I should ask you." "Oh, yeah?" Now, they could do a little back and forth before Meat decides, like, he's going to go ahead and show this chick what's up. Like, "All right, you really want to know why they call me Meat? Well, come on." And his friend Tim says, "Look, bro, she's only a freshman." And Meat says, "Well, after this, she'll be an instant senior." Yeah, but Meat, if you get suspended again, you're never going to get that fucking scholarship to Princeton. Now, think about that. Meat subsides and decides, "Yeah, I can't do it, girl. Sorry. Can't hang, I can't do it. Gotta see ya." So she's a little pissy. Her friend set her up to fail, basically. Later on, we're joined back up with Mickey, Tommy, and Billy. Pee-wee runs up and he goes over the details for the night's events. Apparently, there's going to be a situation where there's going to be this chick and all these people are going to be involved and they're all going to get laid, right? It's very vague at this point. All they know is the project discussed earlier involves a black guy and a chick who's revealed to be it's revealed to be a prank later conjured by the rest of the group. Okay, there are a few that are in on it. Most of them aren't. We'll get to that. As gym class commences, Coach Brackett and Coach Warren feast their eyes on the female gym teacher, Miss Honeywell, played by Kim Cattrall. Kim Cattrall's been in Sex and the City. She was in Mannequin. She was in Police Academy 1. Porky's. I'm trying to think of what else. Big Trouble in Little China, just to name a few. Coach Warren reveals that her nickname is Lassie. When Coach Brackett asks why they call her Lassie, Warren exclaims, "Get her up in the equipment room. You'll find out." We slowly catch glimpses of the head female coach/teacher, Beulah Ballbricker. Everyone in the school is afraid of her. No one messes with her except for Tommy Turner. And that comes up later a little bit. Gym class is ending, and the boys are all watching from the locker room as the girls' gym classes leave the gym floor to go to the showers. I wrote this myself. It's small, so bear with me. During the scene, we get a little bit more acquainted with Tim and his prejudiced personality as Billy suggests they invite the Jewish kid, Brian, along for the night's festivities. We'll pick up on that later, not to go into too much detail just yet. Pee-wee shouts to his friends while they're still getting redressed that all the girls have gone into the shower and they need to leave so that they can go and take a peep of them in the fucking shower while they're in there. Billy, Tommy, and Pee-wee are all waiting. They duck down into a corner of the building, down by into a maintenance shaft or a maintenance window on the side of the building. They duck down into the pipes into a crawl space, which is right behind the wall of the girl showers. They pull these pipes up and they can look through a peephole. Unfortunately, the boys are too little too late as the girls' showers have already emptied. And we catch another quick glimpse of Beulah Brawlbricker doing a shower check before she turns off all the lights. Pee-wee complains about missing seeing all these ladies naked in the showers, and the other guys remind Pee-wee, like, dude, you're about to be laid by an exotic dancer tonight, you know? And Pee-wee's like, all right, well, I guess I better go home and warm up. And they both look at each other. Warm up? Later on that evening, the group of teens loaded into Mickey's truck, heading out to the location for the event Tommy is navigating. It is there that Billy reveals that the lady involved in the prank goes by the name Cherry Forever. Riddled with excitement, Mickey steps on the gas. The truck soon pulls up to a poorly lit cabin, and the guys pile out and run up onto the porch. Tommy and Billy instruct the guys to disrobe so that Cherry can inspect them. Moments later, Tim is suspicious that Tommy, Billy, and Mickey are still fully clothed. They explain that they were inspected earlier that week. Everyone lines up side by side. Tommy introduces them all to Miss Cherry Forever. Cherry goes down the line, inspecting, greeting, and teasing all of the participants. She then leads Billy and Tommy into the other room, where behind a closed door, the moaning and banging commences. So I just want to stop real quick and say, like, I don't care. I mean, I don't know about everybody else out there who is like that hard up to get laid at this age or whatever like that. But there ain't no way in hell I'm disrobing in front of all my fucking friends side by fucking side and banging just one goddamn chick. That just sounds fuck. Even back then, sounds gross. Different time, whatever. As the naked teens in the other room all filled with excitement, hearing their friends getting busy, Tommy and Billy help John Conklin, the colored guy they referred to earlier, they had recruited to help with the prank through the window. As Cherry continues to moan, Tommy smears fake blood all over his hands and chest. The boys in the other room get more and more excited as Mickey sits nearby and chuckles to himself. Because Mickey's part of it, he knows what's going on. John Conklin, this is such a fucking racist movie. It's fucked up time, man. John Conklin tries to keep his composure the whole time while waiting for his cue. He's laughing his fucking ass off. He knows what's coming up. Man, they paid John Conklin $10. According to this movie, they paid him $10 to partake in this prank. The guy didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, but he was down. Anyway, let's see. John Conklin tries to keep his composure, blah, blah, blah. Okay, soon Cherry stops moaning and then reaches for a stick to break a window, and a commotion ensues. The boys in the other room are now alerted by the crash and hear an unfamiliar, distinct voice shouting and blurting obscenities. Tommy and Billy go back and forth with the other person, claiming their innocence and begin begging for their lives. Their friends on the other side grow more and more uncomfortable. Tim senses this is some kind of ruse. More screaming and yelling occur, and then a visibly bloody and injured Tommy emerges from the other room, and naked teens sit in utter disbelief. Before they know it, a giant black man wielding a giant machete bursts through the door. Literally, this door explodes. And this fucking crazy looking black dude with fucking gold teeth comes through with a fucking machete. Hands down, one of the best scenes in this fucking movie. Comes through the door, literally comes at them. They all quickly disperse from the cabin, still naked. Meat and Pee-wee both take off in opposite directions. The others nearby The others are nearby when the prank ends. Tommy, Billy, Conklin, everybody else laughing their fucking asses off. The ones that are still by the cabin, they're like, "Oh man, you sons of bitches! That's fucked up." Ah, can you imagine being on the end of a fucked up prank like that and then realizing it was a prank? You know, laugh it off. But Meat and Pee Wee at this point are still fucking out there running naked. Next, we see Officer Ted Jarvis and his partner, which really bothers me. I tried really hard to find the name of this guy, and it just says his partner on IMDb. So, thank you to that actor, since we're in the midst of this writer's strike in Hollywood. Everybody getting their fair due. But Ted Jarvis and his partner are enjoying a nice, quiet night of patrolling, and they even exclaim that it's too quiet, you know. And Ted says, "Well, it'll pick up sooner or later, guaranteed." Suddenly, they start driving by, and this is Florida. It's dark, the Everglades, you know, out in the middle of nowhere, basically. So you see dark, you see grass, you see street, you see darkness, and then all of a sudden, they fucking see a naked teenager run right by them. In disbelief, they turn back out the back window and they pull a fucking U-turn and follow behind the naked individual who's revealed to be Pee Wee Morris. They razz him for a little bit before giving him some spare clothes and drive him to the local hangout, Deadbeats, which is like a burger joint, malt shop, whatever you want to call it back in the day, where all the other teens involved have now been clothed and are having a good laugh. Tim has a brief run-in with his father, who was recently released from prison. Pee Wee continues to go on and on about getting laid, and this is when Mickey suggests going out to Porky's title card. Despite Billy's best efforts to deter Mickey, telling him that they have no business going out to a place like that, they're a bunch of badass rednecks, you get your fucking throat cut. Mickey adds that Porky has a new group of Cuban import ladies, and for just $30 a head and a 70-mile drive out into the Everglades, they will surely get laid. I mean, how can you argue with that, right? The next day at school, Tommy shows up with the item that Wendy had previously requested, a giant novelty condom to taunt Pee Wee based off their recent date. After teasing Pee Wee, Tommy blows up like a balloon, a novelty condom and starts bumping into several female students with his phallus. I wrote this myself. Yes, I said phallus. You're welcome. Study your fucking thesaurus there, Brady. You might learn something. The cheers quickly dissipate as everyone except for Tommy realize that Miss Ballbricker is nearby. Tommy turns and plows directly into Ballbricker with his phallus. Miss Ballbricker confiscates the condom and walks off. She got a little smirk on her face, right? Soon the boys are all playing basketball when the coach, I think Good Ever or Do Good or something like that, Evergood, the coach is talking with Ballbricker and then calls Tommy over to his attention. Coach Brackett and Coach Warren are back discussing Miss Honeywell, aka aka Lassie. This is fucked up, man. I keep clicking and shit disappears and moves. Brackett says he's been out with Honeywell twice and has zero luck in figuring out why she's called Lassie. And Warren continuously tells Brackett, gotta go up to the equipment room. All your questions will be answered up there, bro. Billy and Tommy are now running laps, and Tommy reveals that because of his prior antics, he has been suspended for 2 basketball games and taxed with 2,000 laps. He vows his revenge on Beulah Ballbricker, saying, "I'm going to nail her fat ass." Later that night, Mickey's truck pulls up and idles at the office of the sheriff of Wallastown. Meat asks, "Where's Wallastown?" Mickey says, "When you're looking at it, it's just Porky stormtroopers. Porky Wallace, get it?" So it's basically like one of those small town type of situations, a very small congregation of people. So the sheriff of Wallastown is basically, Porky stormtroopers watching out for shit. Did I hit another goddamn? Okay, I'm telling you, my fucking fat fingers and shit clicking, all this other bullshit. From there, they drive across a small bridge and into the crowded parking lot of Porky's. After a little snafu with Pee Wee's ID, So this motherfucker shows up. He's the one motherfucker out of all 5 of these cats that didn't bring an identification. You know, if you've ever had a group of friends, I don't think I've ever had such of a group of friends, but you always got that one motherfucker who manages to fuck things up. So like he's the McLovin, if you want to get technical with it. He's the McLovin, or he's the Jim of American Pie. Okay. Left his ID at home. So they say, fuck it, meet, give Pee Wee your ID. Well, what good's it gonna do? It's got my picture on it. You know, well, you guys can be brothers and that. Oh, whatever. The group makes their way inside and gather bar side to watch the dancers. Minutes later, Mickey asks the bartender to see Porky to discuss buying some time with some of the ladies and his friends. After a deal is secured, Porky directs the group towards a door where they are to wait. He tells them that it's going to be dark, but it's only a precaution because they're underage kids, and Porky doesn't want his license revoked. He says that the sheriff in that town's a bad motherfucker. He doesn't want no trouble. So go up the stairs, go through that door. It's going to be dark. Wait for a knock. Go through another door, and you're in. Let's see. Once the boys reach the dark room, everybody gets quiet. The other patrons gather around, and Porky yells for the boys and asks them if they're ready. Are you sure you're ready? Okay, here comes your night to remember. That's one of the best lines out of that movie. Porky then pulls out a lever, pulls it back, and it opens a trapdoor, which sends the boys down into the swamp below. The group emerge from the water defeated. Mickey is the first one that storms back into Porky's and wants to fight Porky. Everyone piles outside, but before they know it, the boys are manhandled by Porky and thrown back into the water. Just then, a police siren can be heard wailing in the background, and a cop car arrives. It is the sheriff of Wallace-town. The boys once again come out of the water as the sheriff orders them to freeze. Sheriff Wallace assesses the boys are from Angel Beach and proceeds to haze them. He breaks Mickey's headlight and taillight and threatens the group with jail if they do not give him all the money they have on them. Porky and his boys watch and they laugh. After the boys pay the sheriff off, he warns them to go home and stay there. As a matter of fact, the quote is, "This here's a man's county. Go and get the fuck out." I challenge you to go play it back, man. That's exactly what he says. Now, also being a kid of the 80s, the guy that played the sheriff of Wallace-town, I forget his name right off. Give me a quick second and I can look it up for you. In the 1980s, there was a very popular show. It was called Webster. You guys remember Webster? Words are hard. You guys remember the show Webster? I do. It was about the Papadopoulos, George Papadopoulos, and I believe Karen Papadopoulos. All I know is Webster called her ma'am. I don't think you've ever fucking heard her real name. But anyway, that was the dad. That was George Papadopoulos. He passed away in 2012 at the age of 77. I think he was a football player too, if I'm not mistaken. He was also in movies like Blazing Saddles. Nothing else really stands out. So yeah, he played George Papadopoulos, and the lady that played, Catherine Papadopoulos. Catherine, was she Papadopoulos? I don't know. Anyway, she played Karen. Susan Clark. She's also in Porky. She plays Cherry Forever. Just a little 80s trivia for some of you that grew up in the hardcore 80s. But anyway, the boys are seen back at Deadbeats, mulling over what had just happened. Mickey's brother, Ted Jarvis, has heard that they had a run-in with Porky. Meade exclaims, "Man, that sheriff, man, he just sided with Porky." And Ted reveals, well, that sheriff's Porky's brother. So how you like that shit? That the sheriff is in cahoots with Porky. That's why they got all fucked up. Anyway, Ted can sense that Mickey has anger, and he warns him to stay away from Porky because he's dangerous, man. He's going to get tired of you, and he's going to end up fucking you up. Mickey tears off in his truck, but both him, his brother, and his friends all realize, man, they're worried for him. They know he's going to go back. He's got anger issues. He's going to go back out there. He ain't going to let this shit go. You know, so it's just one of them things. The next day at basketball practice, Tim is kicked off the team for blatantly tripping Brian during practice. Later in the locker room, after failing a derogatory insult to Brian, Tim challenges Brian to a fight after school, which Brian accepts. With everyone watching, Brian gets a handful of good shots in before Coach Brackett runs in and breaks up the fight. When Coach Brackett orders the boys to shake hands, Tim refuses and walks away. The other boys talk to Brian and get to know him a little bit better. So basically, Tim is a bigot. You know, Brian is a Jew. Tim don't like Jews. He don't like Mexicans. He don't like blacks. He don't like Jews, communists, any of that shit. But anyway, later on that night, Brian meets up with the other guys at Deadbeats and gains a little more respect from the fellas when he helps save Meat from getting locked up for being under the influence when Meat is rejected for a scholarship by Princeton. Minutes after that, Mickey rolls up bloodied and battered after a second off-screen tussle with Porky. Once his friends mention taking him to the hospital, Mickey relents and drives off, assuring his friends again that he has learned his lesson. The next day, Tim is seen cleaning out his locker, sporting a bandage on his face. The boys deduce that Tim's father had beaten Tim for getting into a fight with a Jew and losing. So basically, yeah, you know, Tim's father, you know, he's just as fucking bad, if not worse. Just got out of prison and beat his fucking kid up for getting into a fight with and losing. You know what I mean? Anybody else can relate to that fucking stress? Further exposing the reason behind Tim's prejudices. Brian goes and talks to the coach about the situation. So basically, Tim goes in, Brian goes in, he explains the situation to the coach. There's a little shit. It gets brought back up later on. Next, you see Coach Brackett and Miss Honeywell heading upstairs, but not before they are accosted by Miss Ballbricker. Honeywell and Ballbricker trade insults back and forth when Ballbricker threatens Honeywell termination for moral turpitude. Honeywell is fired up and heads back upstairs with Brackett into the supply room. Honeywell begins panting and going apeshit as Brackett watches. Honeywell then leaps onto Brackett as they begin disrobing each other. This was wild shit in the 80s, man. With Brackett on top of Honeywell moaning, he asks, "Why do they call you Lassie?" And then as she's starting to say she doesn't know, she starts moaning uncontrollably. And the moans can be heard all throughout the fucking gym. Everyone else is kind of confused or amused by the situation. You know, the girls are doing cheerleading. Boys are playing basketball. The coach, good enough. He's the older coach that I mentioned earlier. Coach Warren can be seen laughing his ass off uncontrollably because he knows exactly what that noise is all about. Brackett tries to muffle her moans by sticking a drop strap into her mouth. Ballbricker walks over to complain about the situation to Coach Goodenough. Soon after that, Brackett returns to the gym floor, blaming his absence on a bout of diarrhea. Coach Goodenough then implies to Coach Brackett that he won't be around for much longer. All of this shit happened in just a fucking hour of turning this fucking movie on. It is wild. So we got somebody watching in the chat. Shout out. What up? How you doing? You want to reveal yourself or you're going to be in the shadows? It's fine. No matter to me. Let's see here. Go back to so we're going to do a commercial break here in a few minutes. Anyway, back to it. The boys gather back into the locker room and run into Mickey, who is sporting a smirk. The boys ask him if he's gotten Porky's out of his system, and Mickey insists again that he's learned his lesson. Pee-wee and the others run off for another run or another chance to watch the girls in the shower. This time they hit the jackpot. However, Pee-wee's view is obstructed by a larger girl. Again, this movie so could not be made today. Let's see. Jesus Christ. So you see Tommy and Billy are on one side. Pee-wee's over here through his peephole. All he sees is this great big fat ass. He can't see anything else. All the other guys are seeing like every other girl that walks in and out of the shower. It's fucking wild. After a few minutes of trying to get a good view, Pee-wee freaks out and yells to the large girl, "Move it, you lard ass!" She stops for a second. All the girls stop for a second. Tommy and Billy both look at Pee-wee. Pee-wee realizes what he's just done. Now the girls in the shower realize that somebody's watching them. The remaining girls in the shower grab towels and try and figure out where the voice is coming from and begin taunting the boys on the other side of the wall. Continuing to play it up, Tommy sticks his tongue through the peephole on one of the showers. And Tommy kind of like mumbles to the guys, what are they doing? Pee Wee says, oh, one of the girls is coming for you. You know, Wendy Williams grabs a handful of melted soap and splatters it on Tommy's tongue. Tommy spits out the soap and is kind of angered as everyone laughs. In a fit, he decides to up the ante and stick his wang in the motherfucking stick his fucking wang in the goddamn hole. It's a Mario. No, it's a Wario. It's a Kevin the Belly. How you doing, Kevin? We're talking about the Porky's. Yes, good times, good times. Very evil. So Tommy decides to fucking stick his wang in this hole, right? And the girl's thinking like he's gonna do another shot of his tongue, right? So when it pokes through, they all fucking they're all freaking out and shit, and they just stand back and giggle. And it isn't soon before all the laughing is quieted because Miss Ballbricker is now there. She walks in. Billy and Pee Wee keep hyping Tommy up, and they don't tell him that the girls have all left except for Miss Ballbricker. So Tommy keeps playing it up using his little chicky voice. I'm Polly the Penis, and I just love to play. Ballbricker sees him. Her jaw drops, and then slowly but surely she's coming for it, you know. And the boys are all like, "Oh man, she's coming for it. She's coming. Hold still, man. She's coming for it." And slowly but surely, Ballbricker starts to lurch at this fucking wall. And before Tommy Turner knows it, Ballbricker latches onto his Johnson, and with her beastly grasp, she ain't fucking letting go. As she grabs a hold, Billy's like, she's got it. Tommy and Billy bail, Billy and Pee Wee bail, leaving Tommy to fend for himself. It isn't but a second or so before Tommy gets away. So like Ballbricker's got this guy by his schlong, right? And she's calling for somebody to get the fucking principal. What kind of ridiculous ass shit is this, man? That's fucked up. And then his homies bailed. His homies just totally fucking ditched him. That's fucked up. I would have done the same thing, honestly. Let's be honest here. She loses her grasp and Tommy is able to escape. But, however, Beulah Ballbricker is certain that the perpetrator of this ruse is Tommy Turner, and she's determined to prove it. Ballbricker and several coaches are in Mr. Carter, the principal's office, explaining what has just transpired and suggested a lineup with several male students. You can put hoods on their heads, but I have got to identify that penis. There's a mole on that penis, a very distinct mole, and I know it's Tommy Turner. The coaches are all laughing one by one, you know. Eventually, by the end of the scene, even the principal is laughing his fucking ass off, and Beulah Ballbricker storms out of the office. All right, Tim is shown being reinstated to the basketball team and is allowed to play in the game that night. He is visibly still unsure about Brian, but it is suggested that he's starting to loosen up about Brian being a Jew and you know, being evil and whatever the fuck, people who don't like Jews and prejudiced people, whatever they're uptight about. Excuse me. Later on, a dance is happening. Everyone is present, even Meat, who was supposed to be watching Mickey so that he doesn't participate in any more Porky shenanigans. Meat reveals that Mickey gave him the slip. Billy and Tommy debate about whether or not to go after him. There's a commotion going on in the courtyard. Tim's father has shown up, and he's taunting Brian, challenging him to try that Jap stuff on him. Tim intervenes and tells his father to leave. When Tim stands up for himself, Tim's father smacks the shit out of him. Tim's father picks him up, starts to choke him, and like, you got any more back talk? Officer Jarvis fucking intervenes and knocks Tim the fuck out with one punch. Coach Brackett then proclaims that he's putting Tim's father under a peace bond for if he comes within 10 feet of Tim again, he will be arrested. Defeatedly, Tim's father leaves. Billy and Tommy invite Tim to stay with them if need be. Let's see here. Where are we at now? All right, so I think it's a good spot to take a break. Nah, fuck it. Let's do this. Never being a dull moment, a collection of screams blare out in the further distance as Mickey crashes into a table, bloodied and battered again at the hands of Porky. Mickey is loaded up into an ambulance as Ted has had enough. He's worried for his brother, man. He's got like broken ribs. I think they said maybe a collapsed lung. He's all fucked up. The boys want to help. The boys want to help Ted. They want to help, and Ted refrains as he doesn't want to see anybody else get hurt. Brian steps up and tells Ted he has a solution where nobody else has to get hurt, but they will get retribution. Coach Brackett steps up a couple of seconds later. Now known as Roy, he volunteers to join the party as he too has unfinished beef with Porky from when he was younger. Ted assures the group that Brian has an idea, and they will definitely give Porky a night to remember. Before Brian leaves, Tim offers Brian his own version of an apology. He tells Brian, like, look, man, when we go out here, a lot of them cats at Porky's are fucking prejudiced, so don't let them know you're Jewish. You know, they kind of share a laugh as they drive off into the night. So it's not really an apology, but, you know, they kind of make amends, and now they're kind of buddies after everything that's transpired. I think it's definitely time for a break, though. You want to take a break? I'll take a break. So, un momento, por favor. Don't go away. We got just a little bit left to go over with Porky's. And thanks for joining us, man.
My Nerdvana, toys and collectibles. Jackson, Michigan's one-stop shop for nerds of all ages.
Do they have Funkos?
They got you.
Super 7?
They got you.
What about Mezco?
Mezco, Hasbro, McFarlane, My Nerdvana Toys and Collectibles has got you covered. Whether you're just starting your collection or expanding a current toy hoard, My Nerdvana's professionals will hook you up. My Nerdvana Toys and Collectibles. Find them on Facebook.
In-person shopping by appointment only.
Are you starting a new business and you need an eye-catching logo? Are you working on a big project for the office and you just can't nail that artwork? Perhaps you've written the next best-selling kids book, but you can't draw. With that deadline rapidly approaching, it sounds like you might need a miracle. So let Chimera Design be the answer to your prayers. Chimera Design works with all mediums and specializes in all kinds of artwork, from logos, t-shirt design, book covers, children's book illustration, board game and card game design, and more. There's really no job too big or too small, because Chimera Design can do it all. So if you have an idea, let Chimera Design get to work for you. Email Brian Ritson at gmail.com. That's Brian, R-I-T-S-O-N, at gmail.com. Or find Chimera Design on Facebook. Chimera Design. Let them get to work for you.
Dad, were we robbed?
No, what are you talking about?
Well, what happened to that old fridge, that broken TV, and all those boxes?
Oh, Curtis came and got it, Tactical Trash Out.
I thought he did the lawn care.
Yeah, but not anymore. Tactical Trash Out is servicing homes in a completely different way. Getting rid of all that old junk and clutter people have in their garage, their attics, their basement. Whatever you need to get rid of, call Tactical Trash Out.
Awesome! What's his number again?
Tactical Trash Out. 517-395-3628.
And we are back to finish up talking about one of the greatest coming-of-age movies that I grew up with, Porky's. Another thing that I did when I was researching Porky's was how the rating system has changed so much since growing up in the 80s. Like, I went through some of my favorite movies. We had Weird Science, Ghostbusters, Breakfast Club. What else did I have? Beetlejuice was on the list. And I looked at them, and I'm just like trying to figure out if they would still be rated what they were rated then. Out of all those movies, I think Teen Wolf was also on that list. And for the most part, they were all rated PG, even with a lot of the suggestive shit that was in those movies. Sure, there was an F-bomb here and there in Beetlejuice. There was a couple. I think there was an F-bomb maybe in Teen Wolf. There were titties in Teen Wolf. Ghostbusters, forget about it. I don't know. There's any number of suggestive things in that fucking movie. I think Breakfast Club, out of all the ones that I gathered up to look at, Weird Science, that was another one. I think Breakfast Club was the only one that was actually rated R. And I mean, these are all Blu-rays, so I don't know if they were re-evaluated later on or if that's how they were when they came out. But I read into it, like, there were movies like Jaws, because of like the nudity and the violence and the language. That was still rated PG. You know, and there was another one. I think Exorcist when that fucking came, not Exorcist, Poltergeist when that first came out, that was also rated PG. So think about it nowadays. Um, it's just fucking wild, man. You can drop one too many f bombs, and that'll change your rating. So it's just weird how that shit's evaluated back then to how it's evaluated now. Even fucking Star Wars, man. Look at Star Wars. The first Star Wars movie I ever watched all the way through was Episode 2, and that's where Jango Fett gets decapitated. Fucking capitated. And that movie was it G or PG? Come on now. That's how you get away with that shit. Anyway, this would definitely be a different situation altogether. Like I said, I did a little research on the rating systems. Let's see. The G rated system. Okay, so when the Hays Code was repealed in 1968, replaced with the voluntary film rating system, the G rating was one of the four initial ratings and is still used to this day. That's just like general audiences. You know, there's no objectionable content and suitable for all viewers. Pretty self-explanatory. But it's been less frequently used, over the years. It applied to films varying content, but now it's reserved for only the absolute safest and squeaky clean of films. Do we have any of those anymore? The M rating, I got more acquainted with that with games like Mortal Kombat. PG, that was first introduced in 1972. It's safe for kids to watch, but I can have some suggested content. Like I said, with all the movies that I had listed earlier that are still rated PG. Before the introduction of PG-13, PG films were often able to push the envelope much farther than they can today. Over the years, the general MPAA ratings have both loosened and tightened in accordance with the perceived social norms of the times. That's fucking wild, man. And see, there, like back in the 70s, a film with violence, gore, swearing, and even nudity could land a PG rating, like Jaws. Whereas, like today, they would never get a PG rating. That's fucking nuts, man. We got the PG-13 rating that was introduced in 1984. It was an intermediate level between PG and R. A number of films fell into the gray area where they contained more objectionable content that was other content than the average PG film, but didn't push enough boundaries to land an R rating. Films like Jaws and Poltergeist landed the PG rating upon release, but these days they'd more likely be a PG-13. That's wild, man. The R rating was introduced in 1968. It stands for restricted. One under the age requirement would be admitted to an R-rated film on their own. However, someone below the age required can still be admitted as long as they are accompanied with a parent or adult. How many movies did I get into that were R-rated before I was the age of an adult? I know for a fact Bad Boys. But I can't think of anything else right off. So even though this rating has been around since the beginning, that doesn't mean it hasn't changed at all over the years. The initial age requirement for admittance to an R-rated film was 16 before being raised to 17 in 1970. That's wild. And it also goes to list stuff like the rated X, which I've never seen, or NC-17, which I've almost kind of never seen. I think NC-17 went out like when they did shit like Night Trap on the Sega CD or whatever the fuck, But that's just some interesting reading, man. It's just wild how shit gets. Exactly. See, this is one of those. Porky's is one of those movies that I definitely don't think they can make it. And if they did, it'd be hellaciously watered down. Like there's so much in there, like the language, the vernacular, like the racism, the nudity, it's fucking wild, man. It sucks that there's a new group of people today telling us what is and isn't acceptable. You know what I mean? It's like banned books that are still. I mean, it's just a fucking shit show to me. I'm never gonna give up my goddamn movies. I don't think I'd let my kids watch Porky's, but it's a case by case type of situation. Let's get back into it. We got just a little bit left to go. So they decided they're gonna get revenge on Porky for all the shit perpetrated on not only them, but all this bullshit they perpetrated on Mickey. He's a hothead, man. I can't believe I got through this in less than an hour, man. That's wild. So there's like so much shit. I even made a note right when I hit the hour mark of taking all these notes. A lot of shit happened in that first hour. That was pretty fucking wild. And now we're already at the end of this. All right. So later on, Pee Wee and Meat are seen hiding under a bridge. A little of this gets a little sketchy. There's people everywhere. There's all the characters are kind of doing this and that in relation to this comeuppance, if you will. When the coast is clear, they begin rigging the bridge with fuses or like the old TNT bullshit. Meanwhile, outside the sheriff's office, I believe it's Roy, aka Coach Brackett. He's seen rigging the police vehicles. There's two of them out there. Tommy and Billy start sawing away at the joists of the bridge. Pee Wee and Meat are manning a tow truck. There are two boats parked on the opposite side of the building of Porky's, and they're already waiting for the patrons to leave before they go get Porky's attention. Billy goes in and he proclaims that the boys from Angel Beach are here and they want to see Porky outside right now. After a little bit of taunting, Porky and his minions rush outside. Meat hooks up the tow truck and like to one of the joists or whatever, and they give a signal to everybody else that the plan is a go. Let's do this. Fire right now. The boats attached to the support joists on the opposite side take off and they start pulling. The tow truck is hooked up for the front of the supports and they start pulling. The entry bridge that Porky and his homies are standing on, that eventually collapses and they all go into the water. The truck, the boats, they continue to pull in opposite direction. The sheriff of Wallace-town, they notice a commotion going on. They grab their artillery. They're like, man, grab everything that kills. They're hardcore rednecks. Grab everything that kills. Doot, doot, doot. They grab all their artillery and plan to head out. The supports of Porky's continue to buckle, and soon the remaining employees escape the establishment. Everything's shaking inside. The dance floor, the bar, everything's at a tilt. Everybody gets the fuck out of there. And seconds before, it all collapses. Car 1 at the sheriff, they revs up. They hit the fucking gas and it shoots backwards. Out of the back into the swamp. Back of the sheriff's office. So through one plate of glass, through the other plate of glass, into the swamp. Let's see. It's hard to fucking read this small ass print, man. Thanks for bearing with me. Once Porky regains his bearings, he makes his way towards the boys. Meat unhooks the tow truck before they drive off over the rigged bridge. Porky calls for his pigmobile to start the chase, but not before Pee Wee blows up bridge number 1. So apparently there was 2 bridges that I don't think you get to see them before this part. There's 2 bridges. So one on this side, one on this side. They blow the one bridge. Porky goes over to this bridge. Pee Wee tries to blow it. The fuse doesn't work through. So, all right, fuck it, Pee Wee. Let's get the fuck out of here. Blah, blah, blah. Back at the sheriff's station, Sheriff Wallace asks his lackeys if they check that car out. Is that all right? This is another one of those lines that fucking sticks with me. You check that car out? Ain't nothing wrong with this car, boss. Doot, doot, doot. Ain't nothing wrong with that car, boss. So apparently that first car, whoever it was that was rigging it, rigged the fucking transmission in reverse. So they went to go put it in drive, and that would send them fucking backwards in reverse as opposed to drive. Doot, doot, doot. If you know, you know. Kevin, man, if you listen to podcasts, you know what doot, doot, doot means, right? Doot, doot, doot. If you don't, Google it. They all pile into that car. The car starts, and seconds after they take off, all 4 tires just fucking fall off. The whole goddamn thing just collapses. And Sheriff of Wallace-town stares straight ahead, looks at his boy, looks back at the fucking screen. Ain't nothing wrong with this car, boss. It's fucking hilarious, man. Let's see. Seconds after that, the car, the tow truck fucking zooms by, and then he sees Porky. He flags down Porky to come pick him up. Porky's bitching him out. It's like, where the fuck were you, man? You see what them assholes did to my fucking establishment? Hit that fucking pig whistle. Whee! It's probably one of the scariest fucking. It's probably like number 2 next to the horn from the goddamn Jeepers Creepers truck, because it's just got a pig and it just whee in the darkness. It's fucking crazy, crazy scary. Let's see. Sheriff flags him down. Blah blah blah. As soon as the tow truck crosses, you can see lights, music, a giant mob. So they're headed for the county line, basically. Between all of this, them getting out there, you see shots of like a police badge, you see a fucking marching band, you see cheerleaders, I think you see a bus, and it's just quiet. You don't know the context yet. They're all reaching the county line. You know, Porky's like, God damn it, we're about to hit the county line. Step on it. The tow truck crosses the county line, and then all these fucking lights and shit come on. The marching band starts. There's buses. There's people every fucking where. Police everywhere. All kinds of shit. Porky and his gang, they pull up, they park, and they get out, and they start fucking like hollering at the goddamn cop. They're like, I want these motherfuckers arrested for trespassing and vehicular damage, and they destroyed my establishment and all this other bullshit. Let's see. This is all one goddamn great big old paragraph, and it's small. Let's see. Porky and his cronies emerge from the vehicle and demand that the sheriff apprehend the individuals that destroyed his establishment. When Porky realizes the verbiage of the situation, as the 16 and 17-year-old teens have been to his place of business, he quickly changes his tune, stating that, oh, okay, I think we obviously made a mistake. The youngsters. He's trying to like calm his fucking brother down. The youngsters. We had youngsters at our place. We can't. Well, fuck it. Oh, fuck it. Never mind. But Sheriff Wallace then speaks up, demanding that they be booked on felonious destruction of property on his behalf because of his cars and his station house and whatnot. That's when Sheriff Jarvis plays a little role reversal from earlier on Porky and his party. Starting with Porky's headlight, he knocks out his headlight. He blows Porky's tire, all the shotgun, blows a fucking hole in his radiator, and then finally he takes out the fucking pig hood ornament on top of the car. Jarvis demands that Porky and his party return to their county and all the events that have transpired between these two parties to be forgotten. The parade continues and the group celebrate their victory. So it was nice. It was a nice comeuppance. I think it's unrealistic. Not completely unrealistic. I believe that there's out there somewhere, you know, the brother of somebody or whatever doing whatever has a fucking cop brother cousin in his back pocket. But like the same situation going on in the next county, I don't know about all that. It was still cool to see like the comeuppance. While everything worked out, everybody's celebrating, everybody's happy. Pee-wee's not. He's still sulking. They destroyed Porky's. And that was his last shot of getting laid, right? Tommy quickly chases down an escaping Wendy as she bet Tommy that if they pulled off this plan, that she would pop Pee-wee's cherry. Man. Man, that's some fucking balls, man. Anyway, reluctantly, she says okay, and she leads Pee-wee to a nearby school bus. This bitch is a freak, man. As the group all gather around, there's a rustling in a nearby bush. Very Friday the 13th-ish. Like you can see the view of the students. You can't quite see who's in the bushes, but you know there's somebody there. After a couple of follies with condoms, like Pee-wee didn't have a condom. He goes out to meet for a condom, and of course it's too big. Somebody else gives him another condom, and they tell him to tie a fucking knot in it. Like, have you ever had that fucking situation? Dude, Jesus Christ, there's no helping some people. Anyway, Pee-wee is sent back into the bus to Wendy. They start getting down and busy. Back to the bushes. We see Beulah Ballbricker incognito, like just looking on, like lurking. And then she fucking all of a sudden she fucking rushes out to Tommy Turner. She tackles this motherfucker. And I gotta tell you, that was probably one of the scariest fucking things. It's not a horror movie, but seeing this fucking big, burly, beastly bitch running out from a fucking bush. Scary as fucking shit, man. I think that was more scarier than Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's just me though. She tackles him to the ground and attempts to pull it. She does. She pulls his fucking pants down. You know, this is another. There's so many different fucking things wrong with this movie that you can't get away with nowadays just because of the times. But this was the 50s, man. You know, I don't know if you had teachers banging students and sexually assaulting each other. Fuck. Anyway, she tries to take his pants off so she can identify his fucking wiener. I know it's him. He's got that mole on the fucking tip of his dick. Blah blah blah. After Ballbricker is apprehended by the police, Pee-wee finally has victory and leans out the window to an applause from his public. Tommy Turner then, he regains his composure and then he breaks the fourth wall and he looks at the fucking jeez. And that's when the title picture, that's when the credits start fucking rolling. Well, the credits started rolling earlier. This was in credit scene. Yeah, fuck you, MCU. Motherfucking Porky's did that shit before y'all did. But yeah, then the movie ends. I'm probably just gonna summarize an X-rated version of. Okay, all right, yeah. There's an X-rated version of RoboCop before the gore. I believe it. I remember watching that. I think RoboCop came out in 1987, right? Or 88. Either way, I was like 6 or 7 years old. I remember watching it then. And that was a pretty goddamn gory fucking movie, man. Like the way they blew off Murphy's arm. They fucking blew a great big old hole in his fucking head. Jesus Christ, that was wild. It was really fucking wild. I'd like to go back and discuss that sometime. Just like the changes they made in movies to make them more family friendly or TV friendly now. I'd have to work on a list, but yeah, that's up there, man. Like they did that with, there was something like that, something similar like that with Friday the 13th. The MPAA is really fucked up because then you go back to some of these scenes that are supposedly too graphic or too gory for public, and they really aren't that bad. Friday the 13th Part 7 is one that jumps to my attention first. That was the first Friday the 13th featuring Kane Hodder, which Kane Hodder, I don't care if he's overrated, man. He synonymized Jason for me. He was the scariest Jason to me, and still he's the best playing Jason to me. He had sold me, I wouldn't have bought it now because everything's on the internet or whatever. But he sold me a DVD. It was a burned fucking DVD. That was the thing that got me. It was a burned DVD. It was a burned DVD extra of like scenes that got cut from Part 7 because they were too gory. And they toned them down just a little bit. Like they cut a little bit out of it. They, once you see them, and especially nowadays, man, I think people are just totally desensitized to shit, especially after watching goddamn Terrifier and Terrifier 2. All this bullshit that they cut out of RoboCop or Friday the 13th, it's all child's play, man. It's all fucking child's play. Like, isn't that the thing that everybody's always told me, that wrestling's fake? It's make-believe. It's not real. Why can't we apply that to these movies? Like, why is it such a big deal? If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. I've heard people having panic attacks during Exorcist, which I don't understand. I watched it. It wasn't that scary. But maybe I've watched too much violent shit, and I'm just desensitized to it. I don't know. But it just makes you think. It just makes you think what's acceptable and what's not acceptable nowadays. Language and violence all alike, man. Look at the video games that we have. Holy shit. There were some video games out there that scared the fucking piss out of me. Not like the shit today, just graphically. I think that's about it. I want to go gloss over the sequels really quick of Porky's 2 The Next Day and Porky's Revenge Part 3. I don't think that they warrant going through and making a separate episode. I just think that this is a series that people, if you're super glued and attached to stuff like American Pie and Superbad, you owe it to yourself to go back and see how we got down in the fucking 80s. You know what I'm saying? I think this set the standard. This is This is what a real fucking movie was all about, man. I can't say that I ever played pranks on people like this. I can't say that we ever had conversations like this with one another. But this is a really fucking big staple in my life, man. My parents got Skinamax and HBO when I was really young. They let me watch all kinds of fucked up shit when I was a kid. So like all the Stephen King shit, Maximum Overdrive stands out because how fucking crazy gruesome that was. Friday the 13th, any number of the Friday the 13th that would pop up. I don't even think they were on HBO. I think they were just on regular fucking TV, and I was watching that shit, and it was still scary as shit. And then movies like this with content. But these were like movies we grew up with. Like me and my mom talked about Pee Wee Morris and what a goofy character he was, you know. And then Beulah Ballbricker and what a crazy bitch she was. You know, not the ins and outs and all the sex bullshit and all the, drugs and all this other crap, but like just the general idea. It blows my fucking mind that we don't have anything like that anymore. I'm actually shocked that you're even allowed to watch this shit. I mean, with everybody's got a goddamn stick up their fucking ass. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it's just wild how crazy things have changed since being a kid, man. And now it seems like we're just it's in romper room is in regards to movies and books and shit like that. You know, everybody's fucking offended by this or that. And it bothers me. You're not allowed, you know, you're almost not allowed to have a voice unless you do it behind closed doors, and that makes you the freak. But whatever. Porky's 2 is entitled The Next Day. And that basically that involves more of the race type shit. It involves John Henry, who's a Native American student. He is supposed to be playing the male lead, and I don't know if it was Romeo and Juliet, but it's definitely Shakespeare. And he's supposed to kiss Wendy Williams Turner. And you know, you get those Bible thumping Baptist motherfuckers that show up and are protesting and all that shit. The KKK is involved and all that. It's a little goofy. Maybe worth a watch though. I mean, I honestly would probably throw it right up there with Star Wars. Not to offend any of the Star Wars nerds, but like it's a trilogy. First one's dope. Second one's like, Third's like, okay. It rounds out the story eventually because the third one basically, I believe the boys get wind that Porky's back up and running. They go back out to the site of the strip club. It's still demolished, only to reveal that Porky is not operating a titty bar. He's operating a riverboat casino type of establishment. Meat gets involved, and he gets tangled up getting married to Porky's daughter, who I probably still would have hit. She had a mouthful of metal, but she looked good. I mean, she looked all right. You know. Oh, one thing that I wanted to fucking mention, and Kevin backed me up on this. Them fucking dancers in that fucking bar were gross. Like, remember in the 80s? That's all we fucking knew, man. That was like the first nudity that we really got exposed to. Oh, man, this is going to go sideways so many different ways because I have another story. But, like, those chicks were, like, I was amped, man. Like, fuck yeah, I can't wait to turn 18 to go to a titty bar. Those dancers, in retrospect, man, they were gross. Gross as fucking hell. Gross. And then that place was so fucking redneck, racist, backwood ass Alabama type. No, I don't like that setting at all, man. I have to stay the fucking home. I don't care. Them motherfuckers drove 70 miles to go out there to Porky's to supposedly because they wanted to get laid. That bad? No, sir. No, sir. Not me. No, sir. Also, in regards to Porky's, so check this out, Kevin. Back when I was a wee lad and I was still in elementary school, I don't remember why we were driving this way. I think somebody lived out past the highway. We were dropping them off, but on the school bus ride home, we would go down Michigan Ave, kind of where Avenue Billiards is now. There used to be a building. It had been long closed down, but I didn't know that at the time. And it was called Porky's. No bullshit. It was called Porky's. And I couldn't wait to turn 18 to go there. Little did I know that it had been closed down for a long ass fucking time, since been demolished or whatever. I talked to, I don't know if you know Rick Skit. He's like he's like a historian for Jackson that I know. He's like the drummer for Ripper for the longest goddamn time. He's told me a lot of history about events and music and bands that have come through to Jackson. I guess Alice Cooper has played the Optimus Ice Arena before, Kiss as well. It's pretty fucking wild shit. And he told me that Porky's was like a sandwich shop, was like a drive-through, like not a drive-through, but like kind of like a drive-in kind of sub shop type of thing. So maybe like kind of like Rudy's maybe or whatever like that. But yeah, Porky's, I mean, that always just stayed ingrained in my motherfucking brain, man. That's wild shit. That's crazy wild. I'm looking for Jackson historians all the time to see who's got pictures of what. And like nobody's reached back. I always go back to like when the good old days when Westwood Mall was worth going to, when Jackson Crossing was fucking Paca Plaza. And this fucking crackhead in here is all bitching about somebody. I don't know if he's talking to somebody or not. Could be talking to himself. Anyway, Porky's was a great fucking time, man. If you guys haven't seen it, you're missing out. If you have seen it, see it again. I don't know if you want to show it to your fucking kids, but it's definitely cool to watch a film like that and reminisce. I think a lot of these teenage coming of age movies are fucking sissified. Yes, you know exactly where it is. Yeah, you know exactly where it is. Holy shit. I had a dream about, like many years ago, I had a dream about Little Max, and it was terrifying. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of extra since we're only like an hour and 10 minutes into this. So I had a dream that I was walking along Michigan Ave, and I came across Little Max. Now, Little Max did not look like Little Max from the outside, okay? It looked like it was located, and it kind of sort of looked like the garage. Is that still the garage, or is that, no, that's not Avenue Billiards. It's the garage, right? Yeah, the garage. It was located kind of like that. It was almost like, it almost looked like it was at a corner. You know what I mean? But the doors were open, all this shit. So I go in and you see like it's not even shelves. It was completely empty. You see a door up here and you see a door up here, like old school fucking Legend of Zelda type shit, right? And Big Ass Chicken used to be at Michigan Ave. I remember the Dome. I remember the Big Egg that used to be out where East Michigan, where the Myers is at now. I guess it was like that was the spot back in the day. But no, so I go in this building and there's two doors. There's one right here and there's one over here, Legend of Zelda style. I go into the one door and it's like a booth, right? It's like one of those pop in 50 cents to watch a fucking movie or a peep show type of thing. And I go to reach for the quarters. There's all these quarters stacked up already, like they're just giving free plays or whatever. And it's just covered in semen. And I'm fucking grossed out, right? So I go to get the manager and the other door. And I peek through the other door because the other door is kind of like sort of not closed, but it's kind of propped open a little bit. You can kind of peek through. And there's this guy who's strapped to a dentist chair, a dentist style chair because it's cocked back. And he's wrapped up with like old school 80s fucking headphone cord, like the durable shit. Like that wasn't breaking for nothing, right? Like you could go spelunking with that shit. It ain't breaking. And he's strapped down, and these two chicks, they're dressed in like bikinis or whatever like that, and they're all scabby. They don't have a face. They're more or less like skeletons. Like the skin on their face has been pulled off or whatever. And they got syringes in this guy's neck and his arms and his legs so that he doesn't feel the pain, he doesn't move, and he doesn't go anywhere. And they're fucking eating this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of fucking dreams I have. It's fucking wild. But the big chicken, big ass chicken that used to be at Michigan Ave. I really don't, man. I remember the egg for the longest time while they were still building the East Michigan Myers. My mom used to tell me it was like that was the spot. That was like an ice cream place or some shit. It's wild looking at all the changes around Jackson now. But fuck yeah. So Porky's, man, I got all the commercials out of the way. Make sure you guys check out Minor Nirvana Toys and Collectibles, Chimera Illustration and Design, as well as Tactical Trash Out if you're in the Jackson or where the fuck is he delivered to? Just go to Tactical Trash Out and ask him. He's got these fucking eyesore garbage cans. They're green and they're big and they're fucking loud green. I see them all over Vandercook and like South Jackson area, like the close to Vandercook area. Like you want to still claim you're in Jackson, but you're pushing it. Like you're kind of sort of in Vandercook now area. Lavone? No, I don't know. Tactical Trash Out. Look them up on the fucking Facebook. As well as Kill 'em All Beard Oil, man. Marcus, hit me up, man. I haven't seen the package yet, so hopefully I get it soon. And that's about it. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Tomorrow, be here 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and Big Will are going to be doing some special things. We are crossing the streams, if you will. We got Lunar Girl being the special guest host. She's going to play 20 questions or 25 questions. I invited a handful of other people, but I don't know if they're worth a goddamn because everybody's so wishy-washy. So be on the lookout. Patreon.com, search up the podcast The Pain. Brian, I'm still working on your art, man. You know me. I'm trying to fight through that whole having to be perfect and everything with that. I want to be happy with it, and I want to make sure that you're happy with it. And you're like a parent. Any kid makes you some macaroni bullshit, you're going to be excited to fucking show it off, but that's not enough for me. So I got to kind of sort of be happy with my shit. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Patreon.com, there's all kinds of patronage, do extra shows. I will pull apart movies. I will show off my music. Oh, that's another thing. I found my fucking other music folder that had all my ICP shit in it. I'm not excited to show that off. Not that it's ICP, but I'm missing a shit ton of fucking CDs I thought I still had, and it pisses me off. But anyway, for $15, I will do a sketch of some sort and eventually get it to you. Before the month is over, I'm going to have it drawn, inked, and delivered to Brian Ritson because he is the only motherfucker that has participated in that. I appreciate it. Shout out to all the Patreons, Brian Ritson, Queef Hurley, Big K Shitty, Kevin Bailey, as well as Don Juan Delanucci of the Escape Pod. And make sure you guys go and check out the Escape Pod on all your podcasting applications, YouTubes, every Wednesday at 7:05 Eastern Standard Time, PM. And I don't know if I had anything specific that I want to talk about as far as the Escape Pod. I've been listening to the back catalog and getting some more ideas, watching them evolve all over again. It's really great. So, hell yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this, the podcast The Pain, reviewing, pairing apart, going over in long form the movie Porky's. Again, if you guys are like American Pie enthusiasts, if you guys are Superbad enthusiasts, is there any other coming-of-age movies that's come out since those? Fuck off. Porky's is where it's at. You're not going to find another movie like Porky's. Not for a really long time. Kim Cattrall, man. Holy shit. Been following that chick for a long time. Anyway, been rambling on for too long. So this is it. Thanks to Big K Shitty for tuning in. Is that too loud? I can hear it just fine. Fuck it. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 39. Episode 40 is going to be tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time on the Tubes of You, featuring me, Big Will, and at least Lunar Girl from the Red 5 Network, asking us 25 rated G and rated R questions. So tune in. Have some fun. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. Peace out. Love you guys.